Helen here. Welcome to the Mousiemakes podcast. This is my little place on YouTube where I chat to you mostly about the things that I like making and doing. And it's lovely you've come to spend a little bit of time with me today. Most of the time, I'm sharing with you things that I'm in the process of making or finished things. Just occasionally I've been doing a slightly different podcast where I chat about a particular topic that I've been thinking about a lot, and today is one of those. But also, before we finish, I'm going to take you on a lovely walk that I did recently with my daughter. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So I'm going to chat to you now while I get busy with a bit of drawing in my bullet journal, and I'll also show you one or two other things along the way. So I'll see you again shortly. I've been gathering my thoughts on today's topic for quite a while, doing a lot of thinking and cogitating. That's a good word, isn't it? Cogitating. And I've been reading what other people have written on the subject of perfection and imperfection. Not surprisingly, it's a much more complex subject than it might at first appear. The first thing I asked myself was, is there such a thing as perfect? In the quote by Stephen Hawking that I put at the start of this episode says not, and I'm inclined to agree. I do find myself saying from time to time that something is just perfect, but what I usually mean is that it's just right for me, because what's perfect for one person may well not be at all perfect for someone else. We might describe a perfect summer's day, but we'll all have different ideas about what that means. The phrase practice makes perfect is much used, but in my mind it isn't really true. I prefer the alternative, practice makes progress. As a piano teacher, my focus is on encouraging children and adults to just have a go and to do their best and to make little steps of improvement along the way. If I waited until one of my YouTube podcasts was perfect, it would never actually be finished. I've just had to accept that in the time that I've got, there will be things that won't always please me, but which are actually okay. I don't know what I think might happen to me if someone spots a mistake or a little imperfection in what I produce. I suppose someone might say something unkind, but so far everyone has been lovely and very encouraging. On the whole, aiming for perfection is maybe not the best approach to life. When I was at school, I was the kind of child who would rewrite, and in those days everything was handwritten, a whole piece of work just because I'd spotted a couple of mistakes, making it take much longer than it needed to. And maybe we aim for perfection because we think it will give us a happy life or that we'll be more liked by other people. But in reality, this is more likely to cause us extra anxiety and stress. We're too ready to compare ourselves to other people, and it's easy to feel that we somehow fall short of some ideal or other. Identifying a supposedly perfect goal can actually make us afraid to even try to do something, especially if it's unfamiliar or new. So in my mind, it seems a far healthier option just to embrace our imperfections. Since I first began bullet journaling, I've tried very hard to be more relaxed about making mistakes in my journals. Sometimes I just cover them up, because whenever I start a new journal, I always carefully cut out one of the pages and I store it in the pocket at the back, and that means that I've always got some matching paper to cut up and stick over a mistake. Or sometimes I just embrace the mistake by drawing an arrow pointing to it, writing oops or something else beside it. I was really amused recently when I came across a bullet journal accident kit. I'll leave a link in the description box below. It's a sort of first aid kit for bullet journals. I think it's a brilliant way of embracing your mistakes. I just love the washi tapes and the stencils, although I think my favourite thing is the sheet of sticking plaster stickers. I think it really encourages you to accept that mistakes happen and not to take them too seriously. Embracing our imperfections doesn't mean that we've somehow accepted defeat. It's just It just means that we've accepted that we're human and that we do make mistakes. When we let go of putting pressure on ourselves, it actually then gives us the freedom to engage with the things we'd really like to do. We can truly be ourselves and stop worrying about how we live up to anyone else's standards. It's actually even possible to make strengths out of your weaknesses. I read an example of this recently in a book called How to Be an Artist. The artist Matisse apparently was very dissatisfied with his ability to draw feet. So if you look at his paintings, you'll notice that feet are either hidden or extend off the canvas, and this became one of the notable features of his work. I really love watching The Great British Sewing Bee on BBC One, and this is an excellent place for seeing people being open about their imperfections and mistakes, learning to laugh at themselves, and yes, sometimes they cry too, and learning how not to do something or how to do things differently the next time. So to conclude, I think that in order to embrace our imperfections, we have to accept who we are. As Oscar Wilde said, be yourself, everyone else is taken. We have to take the brave step of not comparing ourselves to others, being kind to ourselves, and then enjoying the freedom to chase our dreams and celebrate our strengths. Amongst the wise words attributed to Buddha is the following: there are only 2 mistakes one can make along the road to truth: not going all the way and not starting. Well, I hope that's maybe given you a bit of food for thought. And if you'd like to pass your thoughts on to me, you can always write something in the comments box. It would be lovely to hear from you. So I think we'll go for a walk now. Last week my daughter was on holiday from work and she asked me if I would like to go for a walk with her, go out for the day with her. She said, well, we'll go and have a nice walk and go and see a waterfall, she said. Well, yeah, that sounds good, I'll come with you. And she sent me the walk details before we went, but I didn't get round to reading them. So it turned out that this nice little walk to a waterfall was an 8-mile hike. Well, for a start, I haven't walked that far for I don't know how long. Probably the furthest I've walked in the last year or so or more is probably 4 or 5 miles at the most. So that was quite a distance, but that was fine. I was fine with that. But it also turned out that we had to walk over 3 boulder fields. So there was no path at all. There was just massive boulders that we had to clamber over. And then we also had to climb up the side of the waterfall. Because we got to the bottom of the waterfall and the path was going, well, we couldn't see a path, but we had to go in that direction, and the only thing we could do was to walk up the side of the waterfall. So that was a bit hairy. Still, never mind. It was okay. But actually, we did have a lovely day. The sun was shining all day long. The scenery was absolutely beautiful. It was mostly a flat walk. It was quite an easy walk, apart from those odd bits. But you're by the side of a river that was sparkling in the sunshine. We had lovely packed lunches. Sarah had made sandwiches for both of us, egg mayonnaise sandwiches, and I'd made an orange cake. So that was really nice. We saw lots of wildlife, and the birds, were fantastic. We saw so many lapwings, and they were circling around for us and singing their funny little song. We saw lots of skylarks as well, and I saw a bird that I'd never seen before, which apparently is called a wheat ear. It's got a gorgeous sort of pale peach tummy, and then a lovely stripe over its eyes, and kind of a grey cloak. Really lovely little bird. So that was nice as well. And in fact, when we got to the waterfall, it was fantastic. And despite the fact there hadn't been any rain for quite a long time, it was really full and fast flowing. It was really, really good. So we did feel quite invigorated because we didn't get to the waterfall until 6 miles into the walk. And the waterfall has got the wonderful name of Cauldron Snout. I really like that. Yeah, so and it's in the Tees Valley in Teesdale. which is just a little bit south of where I live here in Durham, and really, really lovely. It's part of the path that we did is part of the long distance path called the Pennine Way, and I can highly recommend the walk anyway. It was good. And I survived anyway, so come along with me on this lovely walk. you enjoyed that. Sarah did discover when she got home that there's actually a less precipitous path instead of going up by the side of the waterfall. So after we'd done all that rock climbing, which we didn't really need to do, but there is apparently a route around, a little bit further around through the heather, and yeah, anyway, we survived and it was fine. Oh dear me. Well, I think it is time for me to go now, so thanks ever so much for being here and sticking with me to the end if you've watched all of it, and I shall see you again very soon. Okay, take care and keep busy. Bye.